Hi, beautiful people who are out there. Welcome back to me sitting here talking about stuff, pulling cards and whatnot. Yeah, I didn't think I would be back on so quickly, but I wanted to just say that with regard to some of the stuff I was talking about 2 readings ago, how I started off that message was like resonating into and out of frequency with certain people so that relationships might be shuffling around and crumbling and changing at this time. And then the next one, for the equinox reading, I like added on to that message. And immediately, that day, I believe, because that was recorded on Thursday, even though I posted it on Friday, that day, 2 people in my world started talking about a breakup that they're kind of, beginning to go through. So this stuff is very real and immediate. And I wanted to comment on it because today feels different. Today feels a little liminal spacey. And I also just wanted to talk about like an extension of one of the memes that I posted the other day. It said they constantly had circuses to distract the people while Rome was falling. Remember that when you see everything happening, right? And now the news is like potential for government shutdown, all this stuff. I do want to do a video where I talk about celebrity culture, Hollywood, conspiracy theories around all of that, because as with most things, you could consider me a conspiracy theorist. I do believe in the notion of conspiracy. I don't really think a lot of them are theories. But as with anything, when something that threatens like the sanctity and the functionality of something that's keeping a mass of people in an illusion or in the dark about something, then there will be content that comes out to say like, yes, it's true, but it takes it in a different direction to further confuse things, if that makes sense. And something that comes to mind, I'll put it on the screen here, DojaCat. I really liked DojaCat a few years ago when she first came out, like that song Juicy, love that song. Doja's most recent album, well, just to put it in perspective, DojaCat turned 27 in October of 2022, so coming up on a year. And in the last year after her 27th birthday, which if you're not familiar with the theory is that people who are in the, Illuminati, or in my opinion, like throwing that term aside, I think that people just have contracts to be performers, to do certain things. At a base level, that's definitely what happens. All sorts of things, right? Relationships for the public eye, embarrassments, the highs and the lows. An entire career arc for a celebrity is fairly scripted if you think about certain things. And so the 27 Club, right, with people not making it past that age, I personally think that has to do with not being willing to accept certain terms of their contract, because there's an idea around like the humiliation ritual that person has to do to pass. This is very Illuminati, these ideas. But Doja Cat's birthday party was weird. You can look up photos of it, and her whole internet presence changed after that, including the fact that she deleted all of this like older stuff so that you can't really see any information from before. So I'll be talking about Doja Cat. Like honestly, I'm just praying for her and for everybody. I'll talk about Taylor Swift. I'll talk about Beyoncé, Kanye, Eminem, Mac Miller. And it's the type of video that I just don't think is really productive, because the internet these days is all about the really just when conspiracy theorists talking about things and spreading information around like the dark side of Hollywood. A lot of that doesn't fix anything. It just scares people. A lot of people don't really understand the implications of hearing about certain things that seem very plausible. And so I've always had an interest in this stuff, because I think it is part of what is woven into some of these other higher level roots of corruption that have been present for a long time. So I'll probably also apply my theories with some of the current contemporary performers back to generations and how it kind of got moved along and where we're at now, including, you know, I always screenshot stuff. I have like this whole bunch of articles and stuff, because if you think about it, a lot of things can be floated through the news article on the phone or something, and then redacted later. So I like to screenshot things that make me kind of like raise an eyebrow so that I can revert back to it and kind of refer back to it if I need to. Two of those things that I'm thinking about right now are people, an article came out and it was like, people are reporting having memory loss issues after leaving Taylor Swift concert. And then with Beyoncé, the clickbait was like, or not clickbait, it was just the title of an article. Fans are talking about like post-Renaissance tour depression and stuff. And, you know, I've seen clips from Beyonce on tour. She looks freaking amazing like she always does. But the visuals in the back, one of them was like this black and white spinning spiral, and it just said mind control. And then there was an American flag like rippling on the enormous screen, you know, behind her and all her performers. And it was an American flag, but the different colors were made of pills fluttering in the American colors, like the flag. And then, you know, whatever happened at Travis Scott's Astro World thing. I mentioned this a few weeks ago because I think he had been rejected to perform at the pyramids of Egypt because they were like, we don't want you doing that out here. Yeah, I mean, that's not going to be this video. This is going to be just a check-in, and it will be quick. What I'm going to do is something that I really do not do very often, and I'm going to pull a few answers from this deck. So if you have a relationship thing going on, and I know I talk a lot about how life is from a person who might be comparable in age to me or single, but you can still resonate with the things that I'm saying and be in a long-term relationship, because sometimes our relationships, they don't, you know, necessarily fall apart entirely, but they restructure and we relate to our partner differently so that we don't have to give up on it and separate. So these are, if you're not familiar, very, very, very specific messages as if they're coming from the person on your mind. So I'm going to pull a few of these. I'll pull them like the feminine answer and the masculine answer. That's weird. I did feminine on the right and masculine on the left, even though that's backwards. The thing, I always feel conflicted around speaking on that more specific pop culture, Hollywood, the fall of America stuff, because of what I said earlier, where it's like, we don't need more people confusing that space. So I just want to be like very, very intentional with how like I choose to speak on it. At the end of the day, it has to do with existing kind of like once you see it, it doesn't really affect you as much. And I'm talking about like, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a video where I've got a bunch of different pieces of content patched into the screen so that you can see what it is I'm talking about, but I never finished my thought. Okay, so DojaCat, one of her most recent Instagram posts is this weird thing. It's like giving MySpace energy from 2005 with all these like floating sparkly gifts, and it says like, yes, it's true, I'm in the Illuminati. And it's like, that is full on steer into the skid type of confuse the narrative stuff where everybody in the comments is like, we knew it, God save your soul. And so like, yeah, she does need help. I think what tends to happen is that the arc of celebrity curve, after they kind of reach a point of no return, and you've seen the symbols, right? So many, like I'm not going to do it on this video because I'll do it eventually, but this, they all do. There's a photo of every single one of them going like that. Rihanna even has shh tattooed right here. And that, and then there's interviews from Kanye West from a long time ago before he entered a different space within his psychology for whatever reason, we'll say, where he's talking about the fact that they do know and think about chakras and energy centers in the body when doing music and putting out music, talking about the kick drum being that do do and that being the root chakra. And if you're not aware of this, standard tuning was set to 440 hertz not so long ago, but that vibrationally, that's all in the throat chakra. It's words. It doesn't resonate in the same way. And so something else that I was interested in doing was taking some of like America's biggest stars today, like Billie Eilish. Her most recent track that's trending is called What Was I Made For? It's in the Barbie movie. It was made for the Barbie movie. And if you were to read the lyrics, they'd be kind of unencouraging. What was I made for? I don't know what I'm supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. The last 3 lines of the song offer some kind of resolution where it's like, now I finally know what I'm made for, like in the last 15 seconds of the song. But if you think about it as an affirmation, again, because this music, when you think about, they say with children, time to clean up, time to go do this. Kids understand things and they learn things. Well, actually not just children, but all people do when there's a melody attached, or if you have a mnemonic device, or if you engage with like play when you're trying to commit something to memory. This is how you can start to see programming come through music, because the frequency of the music is all set to be in the voice, and it's what people are singing along with. And a lot of people say, I mean, it's music that's relatable, you know, but it's also like, I'll do this. I will do this in the future because I've been thinking about this for a long time. Like, reading off the lyrics, it's like, I'm so screwed up and I'm not going to call him back and F them. And it's all pretty of a similar attitude where it's like, I don't want to affirm that energy. That sounds really toxic. But people don't think about it that way because that's how we feel. And we're like, yes, the stars get us. And I mean, come on, like we know what's pushed through like pop culture and idols. It's all about what it's always been about, like substances and YOLO and sex, like Drunken Love, Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Woke up in the kitchen. Like, if you don't have billions of dollars, that sounds pretty bad. You know? It's all fun because they're beautiful on the beach, and he's like, we're swerving, except, how the hell did this shit happen? Oh, like, I love that song. You know, we all love, I find myself in a weird space because I do love that music, but now that I've had a really strong pivot in like how I see all of that, I'm not targeting individuals. It's not really one of their faults. It's a system. I don't listen to it as much. Obviously, socially, I love music and I'll go out and dance, but not as much as I used to. Nope, I'm with the hang drum. I like hang drums and harps and the sound of rain. Like, I'm getting really scatterbrained because the urge to kind of like fully go into this is strong, but I have to gather my screenshots and stuff. But yeah, I'll try to find that interview with Kanye talking about that. It lends itself to go into all these other directions too, like cloning and stuff. I kind of think that once people come out with a little bit of truth, then they'll surround that little bit of truth with a bunch of fake bullshit, because then the people who are, you know, highly educated on one side of things trying to stand with, like, well, everybody's trying to stand with the right thing. That's why we've got polarizations. But they'll be able to look at it and be like, well, it's all bullshit. And it's like, it's not all bullshit. Majority of stuff is bullshit around certain things, but it's just, it's absurd. It's truly absurd. And I'm gonna, I'll link something at the end of this video that I liked, and hopefully I won't get a copyright claim for it, but it was a TikTok that I saw that somebody had reposted, but she was commenting on that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I liked. I liked that movie, for the most part. I thought it depicted certain things well and certain other very real things kind of poorly. Can comment on it at some point, I guess. But this woman is talking about how she has been able to come out of a nihilistic existential void where it's like, God, nothing matters. But she ends up in this place of being like, and so why not have fun? Why not be kind? Why not be a creator who doesn't have to handle all of this circus, you know, on my conscience? Not because I don't care, but because I kind of see that transcending a lot of, like I said before, the slats in a personal conflict or in these collective, very real societal issues that are happening. Oh, I'll put it out there now because I don't want to forget to talk about this, but if you're not familiar with who Marina Abramovich is, I came to know about her in 2013, maybe. I was at Carnegie Mellon in school learning about artists, and she was spoken of because she's this revered high-level art world woman who's been internationally renowned for decades, and she's a very alternative kind of artist. She's done performance art where, like, I'm sure even if you don't know her work, well, a lot of people know her as she's been referenced in the past couple years, being linked to celebrities like Lady Gaga and people who, for a process called spirit cooking, which I'll talk about. But I never heard about any of that when I was in school. We only talked about why she was somebody that the art world loves and respects, but she does have a really big, quite witchy practice around something known as spirit cooking and all types of darker ritualistic stuff. But Marina Abramovich, she's been in the conversation with certain conspiracies for a while. I remember hearing about her a few years ago and being like, that is so funny that none of this other part of her art practice was ever talked about in school. Only the performance art pieces. I was going to say this a minute ago. Like, if you haven't heard about her, you probably have seen things that are referencing her work, because when it was a performance piece where she sat in the chair in the museum, she just sat there and she looked, and whoever wanted to could come sit in that chair across from her and stare back at her, and she would just sit there, and they could try to make her laugh, they could talk to her, they could just stare at her. That's one of her more well-known, like, museum performance pieces. I bring her up because it was just announced that she's going to be, Zelensky named her the ambassador for Ukraine for helping to rebuild villages and stuff. And if you're not familiar with Ukraine's history, I mean, obviously, human trafficking is an issue that exists all over the world, and it's existed for a long time, and people now are talking about it and I mean, this is the type of stuff that I would typically only have conversations about personally with people, like not on the World Wide Web where I have no idea who's ever going to see this one day. But I'll go into it just a little bit because, like, as far as like the QAnon stuff, like, I have theories about that. That's not the side that I'm on. Please don't think that. I'm not on any side. I am trying to navigate this and understand both sides. And when you see that it is the same coin, you realize why you don't need to pick a side. But Ukraine in particular has a pretty, just Google it. Look up the history of human trafficking in Ukraine. You know, there are places like in different parts of Europe, New Zealand, Belgium. These countries have been known for human trafficking and child trafficking. And so the whole thing with Ukraine never sat well with me. I remember showing up to work that day and people being like, how's everyone feeling about the potential for World War III? And I said something a little out of pocket for how I tend to present in my day job. I just try to be respectful and not share my deep interpersonal world, because that's not the function of me being part of a team in a working environment. But I was like, honestly, I find it to be bogus. I think that it's a complete thing. I think that something's taking place. I think that, I kind of believe this about whatever went down. Well, no, I'm not even going to go there because that's not what this video is for. But it's a very strange thing to have that woman be a part of what they're doing now, especially when you look into the theories that exist around her. So aside from me believing in anything or telling anybody how anything actually is, the purpose of the video that I do that will elucidate all of this will simply take some of the crazier theories, some of the facts, some of the, as many facts as we can, right? Because that is how the issue with conspiracy theorists is that they don't want to test their theories. They just want to believe that it's true. I like to see how we can go both avenues and see our way through to kind of the core of what's happening that is not part of the function of it. I don't even know how I've been talking for 20 minutes. Whatever. Okay, so I am going to do feminine on this side because that's what I'm getting to do, even though this is the right masculine side. And then I'll do masculine messages on the left. I'll do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'll clarify with some of these cards, the Ethereal Visions by Matt Hughes. So I intended to wait to talk about a lot of the more pop culture-y stuff until I got into the Barbie thing, but I think I need to lay some groundwork for that. So that'll be coming up. This is feminine, 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 masculine, masculine, masculine. And again, when me or most people who do energy readings like this, when we say masculine and feminine, it just pertains to the energies. So it's up to the viewer to decide how they want to relate to and resonate with the information that comes through based on you and your energies. So the feminine messages, they say, we will be together again. You and I were too young. I am grateful for the spiritual lesson. They're so specific that I don't really feel the need to clarify anything. I just wanted to put this out there because I know from the people that I frequent and chat with that it's going down with the relationship stuff that I talked about the other day. And both people in those situations, it's confidential, but they're not feeling good about it. And so I wanted to offer these answers in case people are going through relationship struggles or reshufflings that they're not feeling good about, so that they could have a little bit more insight. Maybe these things won't resonate, maybe they will. So again, to recap, the messages from the feminine collective, it says, we will be together again. You and I were too young. I am grateful for the spiritual lesson. These ones from the masculine collective, it says, I will wait for a sign from you. I wish I had treated you better, and I am so attracted to you. So there's that. Okay, we'll do one more for feminine, one more for masculine. The additional one for the feminine says, I feel you leaving me behind. For the masculine, it says, I wish I could take back my words. I do not work with this deck too much. And I always feel it important to reiterate the idea that if you are seeking for some type of guidance, the level to which you're seeking is the degree to which you need to go within. And I'm not that I'm a practitioner right now who charges anybody for anything. But if I was, I would say this anyway. If I were somebody who did that, I would say this anyway and talk myself out of business, right? Because no one else is ever going to be able to give you, no matter how psychic or spiritual, the answers that you can come upon when you kind of get quiet and sit with discomfort and really try to work through what it is your subconscious already knows and is trying to help you understand. And therefore, there's tension happening. Like, of course you can receive guidance and insight from somebody such as myself, but at the end of the day, it's like anything else. It's turning into a industry, and a business, and that's good. I'm glad that people are making livelihoods off of utilizing their spiritual gifts to help other people. But a lot of it's, if you're not familiar with the concept of limerence, then look it up. I mean, we've got unrequited love all the time. It's just a fact of life, and sometimes it helps us grow. But when you're unhealthfully attached to another person, in a way that makes you feel less good on a regular basis, then seeking out spiritual guidance and help and insight no matter who from, is in most cases, like just gonna kind of reinforce, well, limerence is all about like longing for somebody, not being able to see things as they are or understand that there's a need to move on. Oopsie. Okay, so I'm really not going to spend too much time with these. We are just going to do current energy, energy to embrace, energy to release. And this is specifically for relationship dynamics because I don't know, I felt the need to kind of clarify and offer a little bit more support for some of the readings that I have posted last week. So current energy, oh, it's the sun. Energy to embrace. It's the Knight of Wands, and energy to release. It's the Six of Wands. Okay, guys. So the current energy being the sun, and I said this to both people that immediately arose as far as like in my periphery, like, oh yeah, there is restructuring happening within relationships where people are actually vibrating out of resonance with people they once thought they would be with for a long time. Yes, it's natural. Yes, we can feel it. What we can't feel is how this is for our highest good right now. It is for our happiness. It's also telling us with the sun card and the current energy to look for the silver linings within all things and remember that feeling your feelings doesn't make you weaker or less equipped to be even happier one day. It is that like change of course with the unexpected. And so when I see Six of Wands in the release position, I feel like it's an incontestable, undeniable interpretation that came through right away around the fact that with this card representing victory, success, recognition for efforts, it's like we need to release the idea that our success and our happiness would look a certain way. And through that, we're getting the need to release control around how things unfold, you know? Do not cling tightly to any one thing. I think that's like a Buddha quote or Rumi. Do not cling too tightly, you know? The things that we try to protect ourselves from, subconsciously or not, try to protect other people from, subconsciously or not, try to control too tightly or cling to, those are the things that ask us to examine our own psychology around what the deeper meaning is, the deeper threat to our own ego is in those moments. And so it's like, you're not releasing success overall. It's just about, and I'll get a clarifier. Okay, so current energy is happiness in the sun. Energy to embrace is this Knight of Wands. So it's like, just move through with confidence the changes that are happening. Like this guy isn't like, hold up, little giddy up, let's pull over and get our map out. He's not confused, you know, he knows where he's going and he has the momentum building for a reason because the purpose is to move along right now, right? And I would never say like, get over it type of energy, like move through the, whatever it is, the emotional, that is on its own timetable for everybody, for every situation. Sometimes things take a very, very long time. Oh, I'm thinking about, what is it? Is it from Sex and the City? I believe it's from Sex and the City, but they're sitting around the table talking about like what the rules are for how long it takes to get over a breakup. And one person says twice the amount of time that you were together for, or half the amount of time that you were together for. Anyway, no one, there's no rules. That's my point. There's no rules about it. And don't forget, this could be like with friendships. It could be with family members. It could be with people from the past that things didn't get off the ground with, or they did, but then you split up. Who knows? Things are shuffling. So let's get a clarifier for the energy to release, please. So weird. Look at all these guys on horseback. So if energy to embrace is the Knight of Wands and energy to release is the Knight of Swords, then we're really splitting hairs here. And that's what I am feeling. That's what I'm getting. Like it's not feeling as clear. Wait. Not that it's not feeling as clear, but it's like the video that I posted to the YouTube channel. It's a short. It's one of my shorts. And I'm filming a prism in my window. And I'm saying just the slightest amount of shift from your vantage point makes the light that's coming through this crystal prism look entirely different, like bright red to bright aqua. That's what this is. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So it's like the difference the energy to embrace, right? Knight of Wands. Determination, energy, slightly impulsive, but passionate. And that's kind of what we're leaning into. The knight still on horseback, still moving ahead quickly, still brandishing tool, right? Is releasing a different kind of determination because it's brash and it's stubborn and it's overbearing. And so that is the kind of desperation that you can sink into when you are not anticipating a change because you had put eggs in certain baskets. And a lot of the times the ego is involved because we have to kind of unravel these things that we were relying on or thinking about, right? Like when you've planned something with somebody and the present moment changes, that whole mystical fantasy timeline you had planned out with them also unravels. And that is when we start to kind of maybe grovel, right? Or try to rationalize, because we're not even realizing how we're grieving them, but we're also grieving this version of success and happiness that we created through and with the idea of them, if that makes sense. So yes, both knights have a determined energy, but this one is a little bit more unrelenting, being of the swords, with that stubbornness where it's not about having your way. It's about moving forward, returning to like a passionate, like he fights for the land. And my dog is trying to go outside, so I need to go because he keeps going up and down the stairs, which means he's trying to get me to hear him so that I can come down. So, I mean, I said it was going to be quick. It's managed to be relatively quick. I know I started it off with some weird rambling, but let's just get a top and bottom clarifier for advice here. It's the Knight of Pentacles and it's the Hermit. Okay, so take to your solitude to process things. But what I'm also getting with this, especially because two people reached out to me, take your time for your solitude, but more so let that solitude be the uncoupling of you from another person. Like if you are going through a breakup, again, this is a very specific reading that's not going to be for or resonate with everybody. But the hardest thing to do with a breakup is start to realize that you're not a we anymore. You're just an I. And I mean, you should always remain an individual, even when you become a we with somebody else. So it's more so solitude from that partnership. You can still talk to other people throughout this time, but with the advice, we've got the Knight of Pentacles. So look, embrace, release, and then the advice is like taking it to a whole new level. He's not charging forward at all. In fact, he's on foot. He's not even, the horse is still here, but it's part of his decor, part of his outfit. So it's still forward motion, but it's a lot slower, and it's because this was based on faulty foundation anyway. You need to trust that even if you're devastatingly heartbroken and surprised, or I don't know, just trust that it's because where you were aiming, the universe has a higher trajectory for you. It just might take a little bit longer. I know everybody, I mean, a lot of, I know I can speak very like heteronormatively and gender normatively, but I'm a predominantly straight young woman. So, and I say predominantly because I am bi-curious and I have no shame about that. I think it's nice to just, well, I mean, women are the most beautiful creatures who have ever walked the earth. So I just don't think you can see it any other way. Women are so beautiful. So anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about myself like that, but, oh. I was going to say that, like, particularly with like women, right? Like there's women who are in their late 20s or early 30s. People say that they're more desperate because they feel their biological clock ticking and they just want to settle down, but it's like, there's so much danger in doing that. Like whose timeline are you on, Yes, I think that the biology stuff is real, but to be honest, I feel like that goes all into the way that we've been treating our bodies and the way that they market to women to treat their bodies. Like, have I talked about this before? Yes, I've mentioned the sperm count. Men are projected to be entirely infertile by the year 2045. And I have a lot of qualms about the birth control industry. After using intrauterine devices back to back, you can keep those in for like 5 years. I had 3 different ones. I just woke up one day and I was like, I need this out of me. Like it felt, I don't know what it was. I think my energy changed. I think I resonated out of alignment with having that thing inside my uterus. I absolutely couldn't stand it. And it felt like a wrong thing. I don't know how else to put it. And I got it removed, and I don't take any birth control now. This is so TMI, so personal. I mean, I'm an open book. I don't care. I would say that to somebody on the street. Not unsolicited, of course, but I do believe that when a woman takes care of herself and she has a natural way to take care of like all sorts of things, hormones and pH and the balance within a body, I think that we're going to start to see women like being able to bear children older, despite the fact that we're presented with all these things right now that say like fertility is going down. I think that that's in part, you know, I think people are afraid of that, but I hold a different view on it. And I can talk more about that. Maybe I shouldn't post this. This is too much all over. Another thing that I do want to talk about is how I've said in the past, like with Black Mirror and all of the sci-fi, all of the entertainment that people love, it always seems like it's like this dark dystopic future instead of like, what would it mean to live in a really utopic, amazing future with technology alongside artificial intelligence? I do get premonitions and prophetic dreams and have seen into certain realities that it's not like that's the future, because the future's not, the present moment's the only thing that's real, but at the same time, there's a quantum web of probabilities that all individuals are feeding with their belief system right now. And so it's interesting to see the probabilities as they are malleably like coasting through the ethers, because it's how we as a collective are hurtling through what we're going to experience in the future. So yeah, I gotta go. I'm gonna take the dog out. Let's just get one clarifier for incoming energy, because we've got I mean, great, right? This is all these changes, no matter if you feel like a little bit down and out right now or not, just know that like there's something happening here that's restoring balance within the whole, within the family, within the partnership, within the individual. And so this is just gonna be like incoming energy to kind of help with this process. Because like I said before, it's like a subtle difference around a determination. Five of Pentacles, yeah. With Knight of Pentacles, we do have the Two Pentacles cards here now, and I'm seeing not incoming for this, but like the feeling of being left out in the cold and this being in current. It's supposed to be telling us like this is a state of being. It's not like a truth, because when we assess like changes in the past that have felt like you were left in the lurch, right, or outside on your own, the amount of like growing that happens during these times is really what aligns us into a new version of ourselves, much more the slight upsets than the times that things go well for us. If I were to clarify that by cutting the deck real quick. Yeah, because guess what? There's new emotional fulfillment, new love on the way, new people who you haven't even met yet that are going to make you happier than you've been. And we always have a ceiling for life experience, you know? Like, well, no one could ever. Gosh, I remember being like in my 20s. I mean, I'm still in my 20s. What am I talking about? I remember being in my younger 20s, not knowing how I could love somebody more than somebody I had loved. And it's just so silly to think about, you know? It is so silly, and it's not really about age. Even if you were with somebody, of course I don't know what it's like to be married for 20 years and go through a divorce. No, I do not know what that's like. I've watched a number of other people do that, but there's still this thing where it's like we have a ceiling for our experiences, and we feel like there's something else that like maybe could top it, but it's not real for us because we know what we like and what we want. There's always more room to learn about yourself and what makes you happy. And that exploration that the universe asks us to do when it uncouples us from people or experiences is what opens those avenues up. That's why the Hermit is here, because it's saying I know so many people like this. When we can't be alone and explore ourselves and reacquaint ourselves, because when you've grown alongside somebody for a certain amount of time, we change and we fail to remember how we act when we're not in that partnership. But I mean, you then, I tend to think that when you have time to yourself and you explore that and you expand that and you don't, think, oh, well, I'll just, have to wait for, or I'm focused now on finding my next relationship. I genuinely don't, I would encourage many people not to focus on finding relationships at all. I think relationships are created all the time. And I never did this. I said I was going to share that thing that I shared with somebody else who asked me how to leverage astrology to find a life partner. I talked about, like, I don't think you should use dating apps, and I don't think, it's all about embodying the vibration that you want to bring into yourself, which I know is the cliche, like, manifesty thing. But when you're looking for a partner and you're so eager for that, then that is the vibration that you're emanating around, like, I don't have it and I need it in order to do this or that. And that's not where we want to be. When you're truly happy on your own, not that you are okay being alone forever, but I've said this before too, like, love frequency, love energy, it doesn't just have to be energy that you cultivate between a romantic or sexual partner. We can have really, really beautiful platonic love, really beautiful love with our little baby pets, with our passions, with our outfits, whatever you like to do to make yourself feel good. Like, even loving, like, the way that the plants in your garden are lined up, or like, it is truly the thing that I'm going to put at the end of this video right now, that I saw the TikTok about the movie, embracing the absurdity that is happening in the world. And it takes us out of our own qualms and the depths of our own heartbreaks, because you see that's kind of the roller coaster ride of having a physical human experience. So, all right, that's it. Okay, dog time.
Finally got around to seeing everything everywhere all at once, and this is the moment that absolutely shook me to my core. It's this moment in the rock scene where the daughter is saying, we're just these tiny, stupid humans, and we're never going to figure anything out, and everything is absurd. And then there's this phrase where I knew whoever wrote this had faced the void of nihilism, where she said, I needed you to see this. I need someone else to see this, and I was hoping you would see something that I didn't, that you would convince me that there's another way. And this just took me back to my experience with nihilism. I wanted someone else so badly to see, like, the level of absurdity of what's going on here. And that these, like, little human games we play and what we think we know, and it's just all so stupid. And you want someone else to see so that maybe you have another way of looking at the void where you're not going to fall into the black hole of meaninglessness of it all, and the everything bagel is not going to consume you. And you need someone to see it so that you don't feel like you're going crazy. And you need someone to, like, try to help me not get sucked into this void. And this right here is, not only did it have me bawling, it is the best representation I've ever seen of the shift that now thousands of people have told me have saved their life. It's this moment when the mom puts googly eyes on, and it's like what Albert Camus talks about, where you finally embrace the absurd. And now, having embraced it and accepted it, you can realize that this is an opportunity to play and connect. So the mom puts on googly eyes, and there's this playful, I'm gonna get you with your daughter, and they're laughing. And the message is that when you face the void and you embrace the absurd and you learn how to make your life play, you'll find these brief moments of connection where the boundary between you and the other person drop, where you experience this bond, where you both realize that we're just like these monkeys flying through the universe on this space rock, trying to make sense of it, but none of it makes sense at all. And you can connect here. And there's something just so beautiful and profound. It's really the shift from nihilism into absurdism, like this depressive void of nihilism moving into this playful space. And I've never seen it better represented than a rock with googly eyes. And for me, the moments of life that make life just so worth living, not because of any ultimate meaningless, but just at the level of experience, are these moments when all the egos and all the boundaries drop between us, and we can have a moment where we can laugh or explore or play in the absurdity of all of it. 10 out of 10, love the movie. And fellow nihilists, what did you think?